Good morning, everyone. Good morning, participants and colleague members. Today we have with us Dr. Saikat from Symbiosis Pune. He is going to speak on IoT and AI. As we all know that today in the IT world, these two words are something which are trending all over. And whichever part of subject you take and whichever part of businesses we take, technology we take, it's incomplete without IoT and AI. These two terms are found everywhere, where you go for restaurants, where you go for ticket booking, whether you go for, anywhere you click and then you have IoT and AI already implemented there. To start with a formal introduction, I would like to invite Dr. Bhanu Pratap to introduce our guest for the session, and then we can start with Dr. Saikat sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ansuma.
Bhanu sir, over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I would like to introduce today's speaker. Today we have very young and dynamic personality from the IT arena. Dr. Saikat Kushai. Saikat is a senior assistant professor and researcher at Symbiosis Institute of Telecom Management. India and postdoctorate fellow from University of Extremadura, Spain. He obtained his doctorate from Sambalpur University with his thesis awarded with doctoral bursary, awarded 2010 from Coventry University of UK and DITA, fellowship from University of Deusto, Spain in 2017. He has over 13 years of teaching and research experience in marketing, information technology, and entrepreneurship. He has over 50 research publications indexed in Google Citations, Scopus, and ABDC ranked journals, including 6 books and 10 chapters of the numerous conference proceedings. He was awarded by Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Taiwan, for 3 months fellowship of pursue research in project in National Donghae University, and research travel granted from the American University of the Sharjah and Symbiosis International University. Now, I would like to request Dr. Saikat to deliver his talk. Sir, please.
Yeah, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I'd like to welcome all the participants, even Ansu ma'am, for inviting me for this to take up this session, and it was an opportunity for me and taking forward, because this is a one trend which is we are adapting from traditional classroom into an online classroom sessions of webinars. And basically this was the learning phases for us also to understand the adaptation of online learning and transforming our knowledge into a different form of sharing with the participants, of a multicultural participants. And normally this is the topic which I have selected today, and this topic is very relevant. And this topic, in fact, everybody is talking today, and everybody, and more important thing is the technological upgradations happening around us every fortnight, every instances, and every new. The morning you get up, you find a new technology happening around us. So let us know exactly how this technology is going to change our life, and probably the people who on this generation or the next generations will be having a very what I can say, they may be having a more lavish life with a technological in hand, and rather than making their life to be more confined with the gadgets, and more important thing is their life will be more revolving around technology. So let us confine ourselves. One thing is that the topic which we have today, it's the IoT and AI applications. Like, I'll not be talking about more into the depth of the technological part, because the technological part adaptation needs to be more depth of. I hope the respected professors and the students who have been into the station, they might be aware of the fact is the technological part adaptations. It is being built up in 4 frameworks. Like, we talk about software, hardware, then we talk about networking communication protocols, then we have a cloud platform, and then we have then another very important thing we have is the cloud application, whatever cloud applications we're going to use. But these are the platforms when we build up, then you take up an idea of application areas where you have to define. So now I want to make you aware, it is also going to help respective esteemed faculties and the students to generate their ideas. The most important thing is to generate their ideas in the field of AI, where they can, in the field of using an IoT, in the field of AI, and they can make generate some prototype or an tangible ideas in a form where they can apply for a patent or something, and which will help them and making a career out of that also. They can become an entrepreneur out of that also. Now basically, let me start with this very simple languages. Artificial intelligence helps a machine to behave like humans, right? Now this is what exactly we are giving a human intelligence to a machine, like by using a machine language. In the hardware, we are giving a intelligence that is a human intelligence adaptation into our life. And for what? Like in the areas like best recognition, decision making, learning and solving problems. AI basically used for learning and taking self decisions on the process of complex, organized or unorganized data. The technology obviously has revolutionized the digital world like smartphones, right? Normally I take every apps right from you have been confined on your smartphones has taken our maximum of the life. We talk about that. And in fact, we hear every day that is the tech world is growing with the use of new technologies, and which is bringing us closer. Like I tell you, that is today, this is what the technology has brought us together. You're sitting in a Gujarat, yes, I'm sitting in Pune, and I have a lot of participants who have been from a different place. They have been connecting on a platform, right? So here the artificial plays the role to boost up the user experience. And before getting into the technical skills of the without AI, that is what basically we are going to talk about, and why IoT is a network of technologies or is a sensors that contain an embedded technology that helps in communicating and interacting with their data, and that is they receive and transfer the data through the network. And more important thing is without human interactions, interventions, or human to the computer. So involvement. That is most important thing is. Now the basic problem today is happening is that is we have lot of data. Like if I talk about today, in your smartphones, relevance of there are multiple millions of data rotating is being calculated on your smartphones. It may be through a password, it may be through your email IDs, it may be through your phone numbers, your contact numbers, your address, everything. You can't imagine that is how every company today like Facebook or WhatsApp, they are making money out of that. That is what I've been in the previous sessions which I was talking about. I have shared this. Now, how are we going to structure the data? The more important thing is structuring the data. You don't have a pattern for a data. When you have the data are in a haphazard way. So you have to make a set of a pattern. So when you set a pattern for a data, you obviously then IoT comes into the play, and the AI is going to be the support system. So these data from the devices can be stored in the cloud, and it can be made available for a real-time analysis. Because the most important thing today, company are making, there are a lot of cases you will be finding out the companies are making money out of that. And they're making money out of a simple thing I talk about in the Facebook, right? And the Facebook, if you talk about, they are using a behavioral AI augmentations analysis every day for the customers who are visualizing the content, what type of content, and then they look at the parameters. What are the content somebody is logging in with the IP address? What are the content they're looking for? Second, what type of content they every day are very interested about, and third very important thing is what type of content they look forward. And then you find next day morning you find the same content which you want to look forward, like it's a news feed or it may be like a sports news. It's coming flashes on your first instant of your Facebook news feed. Why? This is what is that Facebook understands they very carefully understand your behavioral aspects of the content visiting process. When you visit a Facebook, on the pages, every pages they have an analysis of, they're using an AI of analyzing your process of visiting the pages. And more important thing is, this is what the IoT is going to play an important role, where a human intervention cannot reach out, where human intelligence cannot reach out there. So then IoT and AI plays an important role as a bonding, and which makes that things to happen today, which you are, like I'm talking about. Even I tell you, the Godrej has come up with the adaptations of sensors locking system, which has been also, you not to have your locking the systems with the keys. Now you can have a sensors with the, you can control through your remote mobile smartphone or any. That is what I'm talking about. With the help of this data science, AI converts this collective data into applications. And applying this analytics, we have different analytics, because today, I hope every colleges, they are very bargaining on the subjects or specializations on analytics. But exactly, the students should understand what type of data we're going to work with. So the phasing or patterning of data, the data patterns, that analytics helps us to set the pattern of the data. And that is the reason we are focusing, that is now AI helps into making the data patterns, converting that data into a decision-making process. So the whole process involves collecting, processing data, and requires a new way of innovating with the AI. So hope this is the process. This is the next slides which I'll be talking about. This will be normally being justifying the AI in IoT for a better future. What exactly we are looking for, and this exactly we'll be talking about what exactly we're looking forward in the future, and that is Manish sir, can we go to the next slide? Yeah. So these are the multiple applications, because everybody is right now talking about bargaining of smart city. Like I tell you, that is, the few countries have already, they are very advanced in making their cities to be more smart. Like example, we can talk about like Singapore. I talk about during my last visit to Vietnam, Taiwan. I saw this small country is a country, like you cannot believe it. It's a small island sort of, and they have been. And I tell you, they are very richest in the technology adaptations. They're growing very faster in adapting technologies. And now how these countries are adapting it, because as such, we in India, we are very late adapter, because we adapt technology very late, and that is the reason it happens that becomes when other developed countries or developing countries are getting adapted with the different new technologies, we are very late learner in adapting. Like example, 4G. Now 5G is already in the European countries, the 5G is already running. But we still in a phase to understand, accept the challenges, everything of the 5G. So now we are still not in a confined positions to adapt. Now, that is what I'm talking about. Now, why? That is, what is the future talking about? Till now, we have definitely concluded that credibility of big data is a huge chunk, is an asset for every company today. If you talk about the big data, this is obviously a challenge. How are you going to arrange that? How are you going to gather that? How are you going to relate that? How are you going to arrange them? And how are you going to set a pattern for that? Because in IoT, if you have to set a pattern for your data. So now the AI comes into the play, and AI is how we unlock it. And accordingly, if you see, that is, the market is growing, and by next 10 years, you will find all the gadgets will be adapted with multiple devices, will be attached with or connected with multiple devices. It may happen your smartphone can be connected with your sensor lock system in your house, freeze, or you can have a sensor freeze, you can have your sensor almirah, you can have a sensor lock. What I want to share you is that the next world which we want to see or we want to visualize is, it will be based on IoT platforms. And that is the reason this is the topic which has been relevant and making you to aware, so that when we talk with the students with an idea, or we talk about a project, or we're sitting with internships ideas, or we are pushing our students to get onto an internship, they should come up with an idea which is making that. And obviously, Gujarat is I hope they have become a very nice city, and more important thing is, it's obviously getting into the age of smart city. But there are few things which we lack still. That ideas has to come up, and that is what I'm trying to understand today. Is that is these are the areas where we can define and the application areas which we can focus on. So now AI focuses the IoT. Now every IoT companies now IoT based companies are normally they have been intelligent reasoning and speedy data analysis, which would sooner cover the future. So that artificial intelligence has become the perfect solution to manage multiple connected IoT elements, and with unlimited processing, and more important thing is, and the learning abilities are considered to be a critical and making a census of millions of data which is being available in the market. So companies can achieve this practice. So I hope because even institutions can start using an AI IoT based with a platform of understanding the behavioral aspect. Now I find a lot of online tools, classroom tools. They're trying to understand the behavioral attitude or psychological behavioral attitude through an AI platform to understand the online behavioral attentions and their curiosity, their knowledge. Everything can be done online, which we were not able to confine within a traditional form of a classroom. Now online is trying to adapt that. So now this is one example which I have adapted into the form. So now everybody is going to adapt in the form of an AI which is called a machine language. We normally talk about, and that is. So Manisha, can we go to the next slide? This is what exactly we are coming out into it: IoT and the machine language. We call IoT as a data supplier with a machine learning as a data miner. But the first step is what we should understand is that if you're refining your IoT work with supply data, there are a lot of IoT sensors and external factors which produces millions of data points. Now, how are you going to create the data points? That is very important, because using multiple sensors does not make sense of capturing data, right? Now you have to be very essential enough to understand that with the less sensors applications, we can have the capturing of data in a very sensible way. So it is a task of a miner or a machine language to identify the correlation between them. Now there comes the machine language role. Can we use a less hardware adaptations or infrastructure in capturing more data? So there the AI is going to play an important role there. And more important thing, the traditional analytic approach to data includes a system gathering past data and produce reports and results based on the data processing. That is the whole process of a traditional form. But when we talk about IoT and machine language works on the predictions, that is most important thing. It is an advantage for us, and it starts with the desired outcomes and searches the interaction between the input variables and to meet the criteria. That is very important thing which we are talking about. And another advantage of applying machine language to IoT is the ability to automatically improve the algorithm. This is the advantage we have. And now you have a lot of analytical softwares which is the coding systems have really reduced. Like Python, you have R programming, there are a lot of softwares which is making your programming to be adaptation of algorithm, and it helps students to understand easily. As more data are being available now, a smart system returns more accurate predictions due to smart thinking. So now there the algorithm plays an important role. You want to have a smart ability or making a machine to be more analytical in understanding your data's capturing, then you have to make sure that this machine language is going to play an important role in giving a predictions, of accurate predictions. That is what we are trying to understand. In this way, the businesses or institutions can conclude the perfect decisions without actual thinking on or without a human interactions. Now, artificial intelligence has an answer for that. So that is the reason we are bargaining today on artificial intelligence. Everybody is talking about, but exactly we know what that artificial intelligence is. We should understand the concept of where the application area should be, because we cannot move out in the blindly with getting out. AI can do this, AI can do that, but exactly we should know the concept of how the IoT is going to connect with an AI and to build up a platform for an within the framework. Like I told you in the beginning of the session, there is a 5 framework decision to prepare your decision areas in building a product based on an IoT or using a machine. So the first thing I told you, that is the software. Then you require a hardware. Then you require a communication protocol or networking. And fourth, you require a application, cloud application. Then you require a cloud platform where you're going to store the data. That is very important. This is the 5 phases or 5 steps where you want to bargain your IoT based applications based on AI. So now this is what exactly the artificial systems comes into the play, and it's going to answer to every aspect, starting from the machine safety, or we are talking about the power reduction through the increase the supply of personal goods and services, or we are talking about energy conservations, or every aspects. Today we are bargaining on that. And IoT people, everybody, company right now they are trying to invest money on that. And obviously, and this is going to help especially is going to help. One very important factor comes up into the play is that sooner when IoT would produce a vast amount of data due to rapid growing of devices and sensors. Now, if I talk about, now you can think, because there was a research in that, the ranging from smartphone, gadgets, smartwatches, and various computer systems and vehicles. These data would be a lot helpful for various things, and such as the predicting natural calamities, accidents, and crimes. And also, it's going to be in the medical adaptations in the medical healthcare sectors is going to be more advanced, because I've been doing research on healthcare sectors, and normally we are trying to understand how the AI is going to play an important role. In India, I tell you the basic problem is that people are not accepting AI because there are a lot of transparency of data happens, and healthcare sectors are very hesitated to adapt this. So let us confine that adaptations will make our work to be more easy and transparent, but more important that there is a lot of challenges are there, like compatibility is the most important challenge, and security is one of the important challenge, and privacy is more important challenge. So these are the challenges we have to overcome. Every company needs to have the strategized overall business model for that to adapt IoT with the help of AI. Now, this is possibility. This is what we are talking about. However, these big data are normally going to help you to understand how this adaptation is going to help. And from that, what are the benefits? What exactly we will be talking about the benefits, and these benefits will be making help to understand the applications, how we're going to adapt the application. Manish sir, can you go to the next slide? Yeah, here comes the picture. When you see, like today, I'll tell you a very simple example. There was a time when we used to book our tickets online. You used to, in 90s, I was talking about, people used to go to the counter, they used to book the tickets, they were very happy, they used to get their confirmed tickets everywhere. Even if we were very happy to go to a Kinara shop nearby and getting our goods and what are the grocery items or everything. We were very comfortable in our life. But it was not a complications happened when after 21st century, what we are facing right now. It's what happened in our life is somebody is controlling our life, and nothing but that is the control. Life is like the technology has changed our life. The perspective of life, of living life, has changed. Now the same thing happened. Now the same tickets. What you're going to have it now? You have an agent. You have an online agents. You don't have still. You have agents on the counter. You have people who have been dalal, who have been getting a tickets for you with taking a commissions for that. Now it was an intermediary where you have an agent coming into the play online and booking a ticket on your behalf and confirming your tickets. Now the same thing, IoT is going to be playing an important role as an agent in every way, everywhere, and it will be going to control your life. And this is what I have. That is the reason I have been sharing. That is, it will be sharing with every aspects of life. The moment the data is being extracted or it's been applying to the every applications, and then it is getting into the form of revealing the patterns and similarity. which produces more informed decisions made either by the machines or human. So now that is what exactly we'll be talking about here. And this is the benefit. That is the agents where it's going to support as a part of an agent support system. Now I take a pause. I want to have the questions. Anybody have a questions? So we can have that questions initially what exactly we have been talking.
We have a question from Dr. Monica Suri. She is head of School of Business from Oro University.
Yeah.
So she is asking a question, keeping in mind the demographic dividend of India, where rural infrastructure has dominance on urban. Do you think AI can be fully implemented in next few years? Also, to increase the digital literacy to make the most use of AI in future to raise the economy?
It's a very good question, and more important is the biggest challenge for Indian government. Now I'll tell you a very small example, which is I take an example of Gujarat, right? I hope now the biggest advantage, I say this is an advantage, but it is a disadvantage also. 60% of urbanization is happening in every state. You go in India, the whole perceptions of urbanization is increasing. The 60%, 70%, no more, hopefully within the 10 years, you will have 80% of urbanization happening. And more important thing is, same thing happened within the COVID-19. You saw the maximum rural people are migrating to the urban area for their livelihood. Now, thing is that what I'm trying to understand, what I want to share with ma'am is that the interstate migrations is going to happen. That is the biggest advantage first. And second, it will be an advantage for the technological hub state. We are adapting the technology very faster, like Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Gujarat. Of course, obviously, it is coming up with an industrial belt area. It becomes an industrial hub area right now. And there are like Pune, there are a lot of states which have been coming up with an industrial belt. Now, people are migrating out and to have a better lifestyle with an adaptation of technology. When you talk about the rural area, India still is not confined. The problem is that you don't have a density of because I'll be trying to give a small example. Dubai. I'll give a small example in Dubai. Dubai, normally, I tell you that is, now they have optical fiber applications in every houses in the Dubai. Even in the kitchen, even in the bathroom, even in the water, everywhere in the bedroom, you will have a consistency of a bandwidth coming into the room. And how it is possible? And I tell you, there is a maximum. Now they have learned a lesson from Singapore that you have to build up a city on the ocean. And Singapore is the same story because they built up their country in the form of a ocean sand. So basically, they are creating a country on the sand. Now the Dubai has started learning that lesson, and they have been adapting the form of penetrations of digitizations of what I want to say. The fiber optic cables getting into the houses. And I tell you that it's all underground. And I tell you maximum of the undergrounds in the ocean waters, they have been making optical fibers connectivity to the customers. But in respect to the digital, the more important thing, India needs to have a very good framework of understanding a connecting India hub. They have already created a hub, but that adaptation of hub is most important thing to have to establish a hub. Like in any center area of a village, they want to have a digitization hub where local people or villagers can connect and come together and with a more better connectivity adaptation, maybe through a digital or a fiber applications, optic fibers. But the more important thing is the corporate world are in a money machine. They are in a money mind. So obviously it is a very difficult, but they don't have the return of investment when they put it in the rural area. So this is also biggest challenge for Indian government. But I hope most important thing is the literacy of digitization will be more important, where the urban area, the children, they're migrating to a urban area. They have started adapting, accepting the technology, and they have changed the lifestyle. And obviously they are settling in. They're not going back to the rural area. You can certain example. You can look at your nearby neighbors. They may be having a own heredity of a farming lands, but still don't go back because their children are adapted into a different form of technology. They have higher educations. Now they have settled up in a metro cities. Now what I am trying to tell you, ma'am, is that now government needs to create a hub or digitization hub in every small villages with a connecting multiple villages, small villages which are densely far away, and they can connect to a particular hub and create an awareness of making a digitization hubs of with the knowledge, and that is going to connect them, helping all the panchayat local blocks through the collectors and connecting the panchayat, educating the panchayat, and slowly generations, I hope, even you find in every villages they are running YouTubes, they are getting with the YouTubes, they are downloading YouTubes, they are on TikTok and everything they are there. But the only thing, we have to create an awareness of the digital knowledge or digital and that basic concept where they can have that bandwidth support, and this is the biggest challenge. Yeah, ma'am. Anshu, ma'am, hope I have given.
Yes, sir. It's clearly answered. So we can continue with with your content, sir.
Yeah. Manish, sir, can we get on to the next slide? Yeah. Let me come up to this. This will be the focus area of our session, where we will be talking about the role of AI in IoT with respect to applications. If we talk about in the last few years, the evolution of the markets and applications therefore, and is given a economic potential to every country. I tell you, that is, we are talking about the biggest asset of any economic growth has become a technology today. If you want to invest money, you have to invest money on technology, because that is a support system. Every economic condition, every country's growth is happening. I'll give you a small example of Hong Kong. I hope that country does not have its own economic reforms of manufacturing industry. They are totally dependent on service industry. I tell you, this is literally, they are more bargaining on technology. You know how this country has developed. Like slowly, other countries are learning that. Vietnam is learning from Hong Kong. They're finding out how these countries are doing better. So this way, the things now, what technology they are bargaining with, they are investing money in. So unless until we don't understand that, even I start with a small example also. The same thing happened when you go to Singapore. There is no traffic toll tax or anything, or you don't have any police barricades. You don't have that, because the advantage what they have created is they have adapted or they have implemented ERP, the electronic road pricing system. It works on a smart cars, where the moment the smart card has been installed into your car, any driver or anybody crosses the every toll platform or the toll tax or the toll barricades, there is a sensor which captures your data from that, and automatically you get deducted. Your money get deducted from there. So you don't have to worry about that. And more important thing is, if you're crossing, you're violating the rules of the traffic rules, you get a notice on the next very day, and it gets to your address, and they have a very strict fines. They have a strict fines for that. In India, we have a different rules and regulations, but the fact is, their countries have been very strict, and even in the street, you will never find a police scrutinizing you or spying you, or they're getting into riding you to say you are riding fast or anything. All are being controlled by technology. So let us start with that. The next decade, what I'm going to tell is going to change dramatically. Now, the social trends normally are confined to, are grouped as in health, wellness, transport, mobility, security, safety, energy, environment, communication, and e-society. These we will be talking about. I hope this you understand very well. Everybody right now in the COVID-19 is talking about these all aspects: health, wellness. Obviously, because we have learned the habit of understanding how we're going to keep our health to be more strong within this lockdown period. Now, how you can adapt with an IoT playing an important role into that. Second, transport and mobility. This is also the biggest challenge which is every state faces. And I tell you a very simple example, like when those who have been traveling to Northeast, the biggest challenge is that you don't get branded items there. The biggest demerit of that, all you get all smuggled or I said the pirated or sort of, and like you don't get, because the manufacturer are not able to reach out to the states or reach out to the customers in that, because due to the landslides, you have a lot of problems. Every aspects of that transport and mobility is a very difficult. Can IoT play an important role there? This is what example I'm giving. Then you come out energy and environment. This has been a biggest challenge for us. How are you going to conserve your energy, right? When you today, I tell you, where the moment I said you, when there is a growth of urbanizations, there is advantage and there is a disadvantage. Growth of urbanizations, always we are going to compromise with the environment, right? And we are consuming more energy. You look at a home, right? How many gadgets you have been using, and when your grandparents were there, how many gadgets they used to use. Now you tell me how many gadgets you have been acquainted with, and how every day, how you've been exposed to the radiations. Now this is the word. These are the two challenges which is to be our biggest buzzword for where we're going to bargain with an IoT. Then communication and e-society. Now, as a very simple thing is today, every aspect of your life is being, starting from your electricity bill, gas booking, everything is being combined on online. But the problem is that there are some of the gaps which we are still not happy about the online systems. Now, this trend creates a significant opportunity in the markets for consumer electronics, automotive electronics, medical equipments, and communications. Now, IoT opens the door for us, and this door is going to help us to understand I'm going to share what are the areas, what are the adaptations. I'm not shared on the slide, but I'll be putting in my words. What are the areas normally applications is going to happen, and it's going to change the whole scenario of technology. We'll be talking about the strategic technology happening in the next 5 years. Now, first, let us start with some smart food and water monitoring system. And this is the biggest challenge. I said you, this was a challenge for South Africa, because the next calamity India is going to face is water scarcity. The moment there is an urbanization in the country, in your state, normally this is the biggest challenge of water scarcity. Now, water quality, this is the one area where the application is going to happen with the base of IoT or with the help of AI. The study of water suitability in the river and the sea for fauna and eligibility for drinkable use. I'll give you a small example, even in Singapore also. They have stored there, I tell you, there is a drinking water. I tell you, they have stored for next 20 years. Because they had a MOU they had a mutual collaborations with Malaysia for having a supply of river water. But the problem happened is that the conservations of water systems, now they have started adapting their own conservation systems. Now they are adapting their own process, whether recycling their ocean water into the form of a pure water which they want to drinking water. Again, sewage water, the wastage of water which is coming out of every household in the society there, it is recycled again. And they have multiple options of their own conserving their water for the next 20 years. That is a vision they have started creating. So water quality, this is another area where you need to identify, and you can adapt that into the form of IoT. Another very important thing is water leakage. IoT is going to play an important role into it. I'm not adapting into for a kind of information, I'm not getting into the technical part. I'm just telling you, I'm just sharing you the application areas where we have not thought about, which can help us. And in the next session or whatever in the future, but normally if you want to have any questions, you can share me on that. I can put how that adaptations of technology happening, what are the platforms, what are the sensors, what are the cloud applications, what are the softwares we normally adapt, like APIs normally, what are the interfaces of softwares we're going to adapt. And then we talk about what type of cloud platforms we normally need. So all these are coming into play, but I'm not discussing because that needs a very big concept of that. But theoretically aspect, I'll be focusing on the application areas where you can share with the students, come out with an idea, sit with a project, or sit with the students to make themselves motivated for the internship working on this new projects. And that is always because that will help every universities to have their own pattern. This is the biggest challenge for us because Indians are very lack. We don't have patterns. So that will help to generate new ideas. Then water leakage. This is another area where is the biggest applications where IoT is going to do. Detection of liquid presence outside tanks and pressures variation along the pipes. This is one area. Then we talk about the river floods. The monitoring of water level variations in rivers, dams, and reservoirs. This is also a major area of applications where IoT can play an important role. Water management. This is another area. The real-time information about the water uses and the status of water lines could be collected by connecting the residual water meters to a particular internet protocol network. As a consequence, that can be reductions in the labor, maintenance cost, and improve the accuracy and lower the cost in the meter readings. And possibly water consumptions reductions happens. This is one area application which is a new area which is very adaptive, and this is very, and I tell you that is any idea students are coming up, I hope they will get a funding for that. Then comes up is the supply chain control, monitoring of storage conditions along the supply chains and product tracking of traceability of purposes. These are the areas which is can be an application area. Then wine quality enhancing. This is area the monitoring the soil moistures, trunk diameters in vineyards to control the amount of sugar in the grapes and the grapevine health. These are the areas where you can adapt. Another very important comes up is greenhouses. The control of microclimate conditions to maximize the production of fruits and vegetables and its quality. Then again, very important thing is the golf courses. The selective irrigations in dry zones to reduce the water resources and required in the green. Like you have a cricket ground, like how much water is being consumed. Yours. Can you use an IoT to play the amount of reductions of water consumption resources? Then again, another application areas comes up is in-field monitoring. The reducing your spoilage and the food wastage and the better monitoring systems you want to adapt that is, and strict handling, accurate outgoing data obtaining and management of agriculture fields, and including the better control of fertilizing, electricity and watering. These are the factors which is very important factors which is controlled. I hope these are the one areas where you will be talking about where we are bargaining about the smart food and watering monitoring system. This is one area. I have talked about the multiple areas where you can define your ideas. Then we come up with smart health. This is a major challenge in India, and it's a very high need that IoT has to come into the play. Like example, we talk about is fall deductions, assistance of elderly and disabled people living independent. I'll tell you that is what is a problem happening in today's health sector is our medical histories. Normally the medical histories, we are not able to cure the diagnosis, give a proper diagnosis to the patient with proper medicines. The biggest challenge is that is what we are trying to understand is that, and IoT is going to help that into the fall detections. Then second, we are going to physical activity monitoring of aging people, body sensors, network measures motions, vital signs, and mobile unit collects the visualize and record activity data. This is another area. Then you talk about the medical freezers, the control of conditions inside the freezers, storing vaccines, medicines, and organic elements. This is another basic areas where you can talk about. Then you talk about the sportsman care. This is a vital signs monitoring in the high performance centers like fields and health and fitness products. That is what exactly the areas you can define the play of IoT. Then you have patient surveillance. This is another area, the monitoring the conditions of the patients inside the hospital and in the old people's home. This is also an area where the patient surveillance can happen with the help of IoT. Then the chronic disease management. The patient monitoring system with the comprehensive patient statistics could be available for the remote residential monitoring patients, which is very basic needs. Now, this another basic important is ultraviolet radiations. The measurement of ultraviolet sun rays to warn people not to expose to certain hours. This is also where it can play. Then again, another application areas which will be like hygienic hand control. This is another area where RFID is going to based on the monitoring systems of the wristbands, combinations of Bluetooth, and with the patient's downway controlling hands in the height. This is another area where you can focus with an hygienic control system. Then you have a sleep control. IoT can play an important role. Wireless sensor placed across the mattress sensing small motions like breathing and heart rate, and the large motions are caused by the. I tell you, this is sleep control. Already, Czechoslovakia has adapted AI-based hospital beds. I'll give a small example, which already the Taiwan has already purchased that. They have started adapting the technology. Now, what exactly is happening is that that bed, the moment the patient gets admitted, the data has been captured, everyday data has been captured from its normal heart rate or blood pressures, everything. They have a sensors which has been connecting and giving a real-time data, and which has been captured without the presence of a nurse, without the presence of a doctor. And the reports have been given every moment. The data have been analyzed, and it is being shared with the other decision makers. It may be the stakeholders, it may be the doctors, it may be the. No, this is what I'm trying to tell you, that is a sleep control can be an area where which can be possible. And then we have a dental health, the Bluetooth connected toothbrush with a smartphone app analyzes the brushing uses and giving information to the brushing habits. In India, I tell you one place, that is Calcutta. You have maximum patients normally they suffer from tooth problem, tooth decay, because they consume more sugar. Obviously, this is the biggest challenge for them, and obviously IoT can play an important role in that. Now, this way, this is the health sector where I have shared you the application areas, and where you can confine and you can adapt that and make it a more provisions of adaptations. Now, let us come up to smart living. Now, if you're talking about a smart living, can we take a pause, then we can have a share some questions? Anshu ma'am?
Yes, sir. I was just waiting for you to take a pause.
Yeah.
Well, we have 3 questions. So first I'll ask the 2 questions which are related to health sector, because we are already discussing about it. So the first question is, what is the growing role of IoT in COVID? And along with that, what are the IoT and AI intelligence approaches to defeat COVID outbreak?
Fine. Now, when you're talking about, because I tell you, we are writing a paper with an UK professor. That is already one paper was published in Korea. How AI has played an important role in adapting the zone-wise, adapting customer age, the patient age, the reason they come up from, the place from they come up from, and the medical history. The Korean author has written the paper on that, but we are writing the paper based on the zone-wise, red, orange. How you define that? Whether that is an adaptivity of how AI is going to play an important role within that to define, to segregate. Because I don't know, because the major problem is that today government is not aware of the real-time data happening, and they are deciding the zones. How can they decide the zones on defining every fortnight, every 14 days after the lockdown has been extended? They find we have shifted the zones from orange to green or from red to orange. Can we have an authenticity of the relevancy of data what we have? Now the real challenge comes here. The IoT is going to play an important role there to understanding the medical history of the patients in every red zone, orange zone, and the green zone, and correlating the data, and where IoT is going to play an important role, making the relevancy with the using of may happen with the using of sensors or making a capturing the data from the patient's history, and then AI. It's not it's a very long-term process. That is the reason every hospitals are very not adaptable to it. But we have an adaptation of scientific equipments or instruments capturing data. But the problem is that we don't have a structured form of a data, or pattern of a data where we can relevant the data in making the decisions. And there the problems comes. And that is the reason we were very late. There are few states like Gujarat, Pune, they are very late learners in adapting that. And that is the reason we have the recovery rates. Our faster recovery rates are not happening here. And the number of cases are increasing every day or now. So now my major challenge will be that how we can adapt now the basic full platform. The first platform will be how we're going to collect the structured data from the hospitals. That is the biggest challenge. And then you're going to set an algorithm. You're going to set a pattern for that to erase the data using an algorithm to make sure that the data are being recovered from the unstructured pattern of data into a structured pattern, and using the networking protocol. Now, what type of protocol are you going to be? How are you going to capture the data? Now, that is very basic important thing is. Now you have rural hospitals also. That is the biggest challenge. Now there you don't maintain the data. Now this is, and there are a lot of challenges, but I'm confining to the urban areas or semi-urban area where the hospitals still can maintain a traditional form of a record where they can capture the data and they can make it into a unstructured data into a structured form using an algorithm machine language and storing the data in the form of a cloud and making a platform so that tomorrow when the relevant data are being captured in the form of a decisions, that can help in a healthcare sectors. And if you're talking about the platform backend support, that was obviously there are a lot of technology needed for that. So backend support has to be with the interface of software interface has to be there. Then what type of networking protocol you require to have a better capturing of data or objects, that is very important. What type of, so these are things which you need to understand. That is the technical part. But this is the way we're going to approach for the healthcare sectors to come up. Yeah, ma'am.
We have one more question from Dr. Monica Suri. Post COVID, as many companies are planning to set up their units in India, which were earlier placed in China. So do you think, keeping in mind the intellectual capital of qualified professionals in India, are we ready to perform and take up the jobs requiring AI professionals with AI competency? In simple terms, do we have AI professionals in India to meet the requirement of foreign companies?
It's a very good question. Now, India needs to learn a lesson from different European countries. The biggest challenge is that India invests very less amount of money in R&D. And that is the reason we don't have more number of patents in our credibility. Even IITs and even a lot of top universities or institutes are not being into the form of applying for getting a more number of patents where we lack. Now, if the foreign companies come to India, this will have a disadvantage. What we get is that our maximum of the scientists or students are migrating to the different countries to have the research. Now, if the foreign collaboration or foreign companies coming into India, that will have an advantage of collaborations. And this will help, even I tell you this will help your students also. When they go for an internships, they can collaborate, they can go for a corporate sort of a collaborations, and they can work on a real-time challenges or problems happening around the society, and they can understand, because the foreign that will be easy for applying a pattern in the other country rather than applying in India. If they're going to work with other foreign collaborators and they work in India and they apply the pattern in different other countries, patent approvals are more faster in other countries rather than India. This is an advantage you get it. First. Second, when you're going to have a collaborations, in different sectors, normally we'll have the technological sharing of knowledge is going to help, which is you're going to retain your what I say, the mind brains into your country. You're not going to make them to go outside the India. What the money outside country pays in a fellowship or scholarship, they're paying fellowship because to steal your ideas, right? To steal your knowledge. That is what they're doing it. Because in India, we have our fellowships are very less, and they're very, very happy, pretty happy. That is, I can go for 3 months and I can work in that in institution research lab, and make money out of that. I can put up the knowledge, and they gain that. But the foreign university gain that. But I'll tell you another example, which we Indian institutes can start: green labs. We can start like a small sort of an initiative, like starting with a green lab, or we can start with something adaptations in collaboration with the MNCs. Now MNC companies are ready to invest money. Like I tell you right now, pharmaceutical companies are they're ready to invest money on any related to COVID-19, any it's antidotes, or you talk about equipments, you talk about, they're ready to invest money on that. Now, that is the reason I told you that is we are right now working on that, how AI, we are trying to use our programming into it to develop an application to segregate how you can make sure the orange zone and the green zone patients, recovery patients, to be more secure enough that is in future you don't occur with the same problem again. Because biggest challenge right now for India today is, after the lockdown is over, the biggest challenge is the recovery period. The recovery period which is to be extended, how much period is going to require. It's not certain that after 20 days or your lockdown is over, after 1 month you are not going to have the virus again. Now, that is what the challenge is. Now, AI is going to play an important role. Do we have that challenge? Now, India has already started collaboration with Israel, and they have started working together, and Israel is helping India in respect to that, and they are adapting the process of making out process of recovery, because more important thing is you make 100% recovery cases rather than making that is a problem happened. Because in China right now you are even able to hear that is again the virus has come. They are not able to, because there are a lot of new viruses has come up. Now, we have a challenge for that? We have a recovery plan for that? We have a guidelines for that? We have not. We are still in the phase of recovery stage. We are still in the controlling stage. So these are the things which we need to have an adaptations, and very fast if the foreign companies coming into India, it will be a biggest gift for us to collaborate with them and start a lab or start a collab in joint project for them. Yeah, ma'am.
In continuation with this question, like I have some queries that, I mean, it's from my side that I'm asking you. What do you think about when you talk about education sector? We talk about any university or college, not about IITs basically, but the another colleges. What is the quality check, I mean, that we really need to make upon so that our students are more benefited? Because from government, what I find, I mean, the universities, many universities and colleges are there, they're just paying them and get the permission to start the university. The things are not checked anywhere. It's happening anywhere. Then every day we hear about fake universities, fake colleges. So just being into an university where we are also running MSc AI course. So what can be the input from your side so that we can improve on this aspect?
Look, ma'am, the first thing is that India now, government does not have money to invest money. This is the biggest challenge. That is the reason they don't have state and public university. Now they have opened to the private university. Now biggest challenge for this private university will be the sustainability for a long term. I tell you because another next 10 years, all foreign universities are going to come. And India, because I tell you, if you want to, because India needs a ranking, right? Our education minister is always bargaining right now on ranking, a global ranking. Now we are not getting into the top rank of 100, top 50s or something. We are not able to enter into it. Now the next thing what they are strategically thinking is, now this is one form of an online education is going to transform the whole education system in India. This will be a new trend first. And every private university right now with a big infrastructure, they need to accept the fact right now they need to have a strong collaborations of curriculum to adapt themselves with the upcoming challenges happening in the market. Because students, I tell you, the jobs in India will be very stagnant, it will be saturated, and you'll be having a lot of companies who have been operating in India, they'll be pushing into the other countries to operate. Now your employment in India will be very less, rather students migrated to different, your foreign internships, foreign placements will be more higher. So the reach out of a knowledge, now every private universities needs to come up with an idea of adaptations of knowledge parameters. It may be through collaborations, or it may be through joint corporate collaborations or MNC collaborations, because right now the time is very high time for every private universities for sustaining. Right now this year is a challenge for them, because there are a lot of students who have been opting out for a college, maybe due to some of the reasons. They might be shifting to a different form of a mindset and getting to different other colleges. They may say that I will wait for 1 year. Now they are not in a very high mood to adapt into a private university. Rather they say, rather I can complete my course in a private government university and I get the same thing, same knowledge, and I get the same placements. What I'm talking about? Why should I migrate to a private university with a big infrastructures, with a big fees? But one advantage every private university to have a standard, to set a benchmark for themselves, as such that tomorrow their students are able to face the challenges in the market challenges. It may be in respect to the employment, in respect to in their sustainability, or in respect to the knowledge. So I'll request every private university, like example, in our universities, like normally what we have adapted this year is that during the lockdown, like we have started the students who are not able to come out to the class, we have adapted a compulsory Scopus publications with the faculties. And we have adapted that because they should learn that quality of, because students are confined with a copy-cut paste. They don't understand the parameters of phasing out the lines or research paper, what is X, but they are PG students. So this year we have made compulsory that without a Scopus, they will not promote it to a next semester. So now we have started working, the students are working on that. Apart from the internships, they're working on the Scopus paper, and we are helping them out to structure the papers in a Scopus standard and publishing them. I don't know, because there are a lot of paid and unpaid, but it's an open source. But we try to wait for that. Depends upon the quality of papers which we are defined. But the standard of education, the knowledge, and more important thing is intellectual building of commitment or collaboration between the faculty, students. You should not confine that within the four walls. You have to push out of this your infrastructure, your local boundaries. You have to push out to the other countries and you have to collaborate with them. You have to understand the frame of knowledge, what the other countries are adapting, so that it will be easy for you, so that students does not migrate out to the other countries. I hope, ma'am.
Yes, sir. It's answered. Another question we have is from Dr. Papri Das. She wants to know, do we need to certify all our IoT devices? And if yes, then why?
Yeah, ma'am. This is problem is that India. Another problem here is that we don't have a standardization regulations for that. Like in telecom industry, like in other, you have a standardized regulations. We have, but in IoT right now we don't have any standard regulations for that. The biggest challenge which comes right now is the privacy and the security part. This is the guidelines now. We don't have gadgets still. There are small gadgets that come up. Like you can find it out, like brands like Godrej has come up with a automatic sensor locker. Now they are coming up. There are a lot of, Amazon has come up with them. They are coming with an idea of analytics, AI-based analytics. Now you have to make sure that is the idea which is coming up. How are you going to patent? How are you going to make them patent? Right? That is the biggest challenge for us. Now, who is going to certify that? Who is going to? Every institution should have their own IPR hub. They should have their own intellectual property rights in the institutions or universities who can work with the students who can help them out, who can guide them out to understand what type of pattern support systems are available for the adaptations of application based on, because IoT is an application based. It simply is an application based. Can we go for a patent for that? This is very important challenge. We should understand that, because everything cannot be patented. Now you need to know where the application, if it is anything which gadgets is going to enhance the application and improve the efficiency of that gadgets, then that can be patented. Now you need to differentiate, you need to have a hub for that. And I request that is every institution should come up with their own intellectual property rights hub in their universities. So that will help you to get or understanding the ideas which are IoT based, which can be under the rules and jurisdictions and regulations under the clause. And better I will tell you that is initially we can collaborate with the corporate houses or MNC companies who have been, like there are a lot of startups, they're scouting out for the students who have been with the mature, they try to collaborate with the institutions. So let us do in that way, so we can identify some of the startups who have been investing money on IoT, they have money, they're raising money through a VC or venture capitalist, and they want to put money into it. Let our students get on to that and collaborate with them, and they can make sure that is tomorrow that idea is patented, and the students is also part of the that, and the faculty is also part of the patent. And the MNC companies applies the patent to the other country. Rather, it does not come into the inclusion into the form of an Indian patent. It comes to the different other countries. So obviously the patent is in your name, but you apply the patent in a different other country. That is what the difference is.
Sir, I again have a question. Like, what are the chances that my IoT devices are getting occupied by some other people and can be misused for various activities?
No, ma'am. The biggest, I'll give you an example. I hope you have not stopped using Facebook, right? You're still using Facebook. I'm true?
We use it, but not for, generally for publishing few important things. That's it. Nothing personal on Facebook now.
But still you are sharing some content into it. Am I right?
Yes, we are.
You are sharing your age. You are sharing your name.
Yes.
You are sharing your marriage anniversary. You are sharing your detail, your family details.
My locations.
Educations. You are sharing a lot of information which Facebook is making money out of that. We are sitting idly. We know the Facebook is giving us free of cost access of creating a social networking platform. But exactly we know that is do that advantage the data was they're retrieving from us. They're making money out of that. Every aspect. It's we call it in our digital marketing is the content marketing, right? We are making money out of the content. And that is this. Now, the privacy, the rules in India, still it is a question mark. We don't have a data privacy act, which is to be adapted very strongly, because in the next 5 years or 10 years of time, you will not have a control on your own data. Your personal life data are being shared on the social media. Very simple thing is. Now, very simple thing is today you have more than 50 passwords in hand in your apps. Am I right, ma'am? You might be having multiple passwords.
Yes, sir.
And it is very difficult, to remember all the passwords. And hackers are very easily can access your informations. Normally what we do is, we normally share our passwords, very common passwords, to remember. It's not possible for remembering and what you do is you connect with your email IDs. Normally you connect with your email IDs, Gmail account. And that is the reason you are giving a popularity to the Google also. Now the fact is that more important thing is awareness of sharing the data is one platform. Second, we don't have a control on data. That is very important, because that technology is going to steal your data. You will not able to control on your data. Some of the other way, today that is I'm talking about, technology has its own advantage. But there is another disadvantage is that they are stealing your data. Now, do we that data, how are we going to control? And India regulation systems is to find out the Data Privacy Act for that. We are only right now bargaining on IT Act, Information Technology Act, which is not sufficing. It's not going to suffix your every process of your privacy in your life. India needs to have their own set of regulations of Data Privacy Act, which every other European countries are adapting it. They have a very strict regulations of Privacy Act or Data Privacy Act. In India, it's very different. So India needs to take a call on, the government needs to take a call on that, to setting up for act for that, for the Data Privacy Act. This is the biggest challenge.
So, we can continue for the session.
Yeah, remaining right now, because when you're talking about the application, this becomes a more theoretical, because getting into the more bogged down as a teacher professions, we are not confined to getting into the, because in online it's very difficult to have a practical exposures of making adaptation into that. I could have made a video, but the thing is that videos does not have more compatibility in making into smartphones. Now, the second application areas which I'll be talking about, which I want to share with you all, is smart buildings. Now, if you look at the urbanizations, when you're talking about, now the first area which you can talk about is perimeter access control. Now, access control to be restricted areas, detection of peoples in a non-authorized area. This is also one area where IoT can play an important role. Second, liquid presence. The liquid degradation in data centers, warehouses, and sensitive building grounds to prevent breakdowns and corrosions. Now, the third we can apply is that indoor climate control and control of temperature, lighting, carbon dioxide, fresh air. All these are the factors which can be done. Then we talk about the intelligence thermostat. The thermostat that learns the user's programming schedule from few days, and from programming itself can be used with an app to connect to a thermostat from a smartphone, where control watching and registering and how is and why can be split. That is very important, because if you look at that in your house, how many gadgets normally you have been using, and how you can normally you find there are a lot of things which we are misusing. Right? Generations, our new generation are aware of the factors. So these are the factors which are with the IoT. Then obviously motion detectors. Motion detection is also an application area where you can use. So, and then have this residential irrigation. The monitoring water system is also in a society. So these are areas which is going to help to understand the way we need to work for IoT. The next application area is smart mobility, where NFC already a lot of countries are using. In China, there is a shop which totally operates on near field communication devices, where you don't require a physical presence store or where to purchase something. Just like you have to adapt an app where they can scan it, and the visibility of it's like it's a virtual sort of an presence of virtual, like using a virtual reality of your products, where only you use the app, and the moment an app scan on it, there is no existence of a physical presence of a store. You select product, you book it online, and the delivery is done. Now, the same way I'm talking about the smart addition of shopping system, which is also the part of the mobility which help us. Then storage conditions, where warning emissions or containers storing inflammable goods close to other containing explosive materials, which is very important. There's a lot of cases which happen right now. The leak of gas happened. So now this is not this area where you have to be industrial belt area. I hope in Gujarat this is a major concern for that. You have to protect your environment. This is the next challenge, because a lot of industries has come up there. So this will be a biggest challenge for making. Now, fleet tracking, the control of routes followed the delicate goods like medical drugs or the smart industry can be coded. That can be actual IoT. Then you have an electric vehicle charging station reservation. Because in foreign countries already the electric vehicle charging system, in India also has started. but this is what exactly we are talking about here. And I also talk about the electronic road pricing system, which is already adapted in China, Singapore. So parties, and then we have, then we come up with the smart industry adaptations. The smart industry adaptations is talking about that we have silo stock calculations, measurements of emptiness level and weight of the goods. This is all important area. Then you to mobile application, auto and asset control. This is also an important factor. Then maintenance repair. In industry, this is a very important role in play. Then temperature monitoring, then indoor air quality, then ozone presence is also another important area where we can find our. So these are the areas which I have discussed with you all. And the major challenges which is coming today is like the I'll tell you that this year I have applied for a fellowship with Japan and the professor from the Japan University professor. So we are right now working on how the application of AI in tourism is going like the smartphone app supporting by the QR codes or NFC tags, providing interesting and the useful tourist information throughout the country. And because Japan is having a more tourist, because they do have a language, they do have their revenue coming from tourism also. So this is which we have submitted and hope it gets approved, then fine it is. So this is the area we are trying to in the smart tourism also. So now in IoT situations, AI can help companies to build a point, and they have and boil them down to in a really deep data. And the general definitions of that is that to find pattern or similarities that we learn from that, and to make help any organizations or the business corporate houses making right decisions, and to able to call out the potential problems, because today we have multiple problems. Can we identify that? Can we have that analysis of that, and let it make it a very real time of data? And data collectors are kind with an AI and makes lives, I hope, like more easier with an intelligence automations, then predictive analysis and the proactive interventions. So this will help us to make more better. So before I conclude, the IoT and AI will play an important vital role. You cannot deny the factors.
Sir, I would like to, sir, sorry to interrupt you, but I have a very small announcement for the participants then, because you are concluding, so I need to tell them. Dear participants, we are sharing a certificate link with you. Kindly fill all the details properly, because this is an online process. Once we are done with it, it won't be available to you. I mean, this is the only way where you can get your certificates. So just check your chat box for the link and fulfill all the details very properly. Thank you. So we can continue. Sorry for the disturbance.
Yeah. So what basically I want to conclude my session with that is that IoT and AI will play a vital role in the future, and you cannot deny the factors. You have to accept it, and you have to accept as like normally whether it is good for you or bad for you is a challenge, like adaptation from a wiring based telephone system into a wireless based mobile smartphone what you have handling today. So now multiple factors which is going to drive the growing needs of the technology. It may be in industries, it may be in your societies, in your around everywhere. So there is always a need of engineers, scientists, technology. They are scouting for that. Let's prepare that. Let us prepare as an educationist. Let us prepare our students along that and make it a team of how to understand how we can come up with an idea which is basically going to change our around the world of the society into a different form of more intellectual based sort of gadgets, which is in improving our life and making our livelihood or making our challenges or problems solving in a way and taking a proper decisions. That will be the best challenge. That is the best way we can give a justice to our IoT and AI in inculcating in our university campuses and in our curriculum and adapting them into the form of a teaching. Yeah, ma'am. Thank you all for your patience hearing.
Sir?
Yeah.
I would like to ask one more question.
Yeah.
When we talk about automations and everything in AI, so what are the chances? I don't know. This is a question from a game actually. Minecraft is a game that my son plays.
Yeah.
So he was telling me that, Mama, we can make a door which is automatic there. Right? What happens? But when zombies come, still they can enter because they step on those buttons which makes the door automatic.
Perfect. Yeah.
The way they cannot touch it. So based on this, there is a question: is it possible, like for people who do not have access to my home, can still access my personal things with the help of these automations?
Look, automations normally till date there are a lot of compatibility is still there. There are a lot of things which are not compatible on an IoT platform. So considering that compatibility, the major factor is that capturing of data's object or is very important. How are you going to when you capture a data or an object? Like I have a small example, like traffic signals when you're passing out, there is some sensor. Now there will be multiple vehicles crossing that road, right? So how are you going to capture the data? Even when a cycle may be passing, or when a vehicle, a two-wheeler may be passing, or four-wheeler may be passing, but every object has its own different speed. So now how the sensor is going to capture in a proper way, and data has to be captured. That is important. Now when you talk about this small applications, this interference into the normal day life of the data into your house, or it may be in your premises, it's still adaptation has not happened. The technology has not reached out to that level. Now still it is in the baby blooms channel where still IoT is in people still find out what is this IoT is all we talk. They know the applications, but still it is still they are trying to find it out the real applications which is going to enhance. But that exactly we need to study, that is whether what type of data or what type of relevancy or information we need, and more important thing is what type of support system we require for that. So that is the reason you don't worry about that. It's not that easy to get onto somebody's house and privacy. Still there is some level of privacy is still there which they can't penetrate. But in future we need to be very precautionary enough. We have to be very secure enough to find it out. The types of gadgets we're going to adapt in our life, or technology we're going to adapt in our life, do they going to interfere into our privacy level or not? This is a major challenge for us. Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, sir, I think we are done with this. I see no other questions there. So thank you so much for enlightening us related to AI. We understand that it's a very broader aspect, but I really had good comments in the chat box from the participants that the session was very informative and they have got good insights related to research work also. And definitely we'll be taking care of the points that you shared with us to be implemented in the private universities to improve the level of education and be future ready, because we are expecting many international companies to invest in India.
Right.
Sir, thank you so much for accepting my request to join the session. I really liked the session during the FDP when I heard you, so I thought let us share this with my colleagues and students also. Sir, once again, thank you. We would like to stay connected with you in future also.
No, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Bhanu sir want to say?
No, this is very interactive and very informative. I would like to say thank you on the behalf of the university. It's nice to be pleasant. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.